officer at Fractal. This is a newly formed research team that Fractal has set up. And the way in lieu of time, right? Let me get started. So I will talk about
the timer would start once your presentation is started. So
okay, then Ritesh has the presentation. Yeah. What we plan to do is I'll set up the problem, the AI problem, the technical problem, and Ritesh will help demo it. It's a live demo, so we can give you a link and you can go and experience the solution yourself too. Okay, so we are good to go. Ritesh, can you share your screen? And Ritesh is the principal. He leads the entire platform. I lead AI research at Fractal.
Ritesh, I'm just trying to share my screen, but it's not actually giving me.
Rahul, can you make me host now? Can you make me host and make Ritesh as co-host? That would be helpful. Rahul, you're there. Can you please make Ritesh co-host so that he can share the screen? Yeah, Ritesh, you got the rights. You can share now. Yeah,
great.
We are able to, it's coming. We are able to see the screen as well. Focus for a full screen.
Great. So thank you. Should I start,
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Suraj Amonkar, the Chief AI Research Officer at Fractal. Today, we will talk about a medical multimodal that we have built. This is a best-in-class medical multimodal that encapsulates medical information across all different streams in the healthcare. I'll set up the problem about how we solve this, and then we'll have a demo. This is openly accessible, so I would encourage anyone who would love to know more about this to try it on Vaidya.ai directly. So if we go to the next screen, I will just talk about the problem. Fractal AI research team has been doing a lot of cutting edge AI research. We have been publishing in top conferences, including ICLR, where we published some of our reasoning work. So we work on diffusion models, LLMs, reasoning system, agentic systems. Again, I don't want to deep dive into any of this right now, but each of these are the underpinnings of the modern AI stack, right? The post foundation model stack. So everything we do is post foundation models. We are not working on anything that is pre foundation models. So the strength that we have in building diffusion models, LLMs, and reasoning systems are what we have brought together to build Vaidya. We are doing some very interesting things in agentic systems too, but again, that's not the scope. If we go to the next slide, so what we have combined is the ability to take knowledge systems and reason over them. We believe that these first two steps are very important to build complicated systems that can solve complicated problems, right? That are just not knowledge systems, but that can reason over knowledge as well as come up with some new information or solve complex queries. So what we will talk today about is Vaidya. Vaidya is a medical multimodal which has dual modalities. It's a VLM, so it is trained over both image projection layers as well as language projection. And it also has some reasoning in it. We have done similar systems for Marshall Goldsmith, world's leading executive coach. We have our own diffusion model, India's first diffusion model called Kaleido, which we launched. And all these things we brought together in Vaidya. We have also done some very good reasoning work in AI Math Olympiad and so on. Again, that is not the topic of this discussion. So on the next slide, I will just talk about what we are doing in Vaidya. So we set up about 5 to 6 months back to take on a very challenging problem of multimodality, right? We already had very good capabilities of building on top of open language models. We also have very good capability of building diffusion models, like I already said. We wanted to build some foundation model that had enough domain. And a lot of us have history in healthcare. I myself have worked in healthcare in Celera, in Mayo Clinic 20 years back. Fractal has a lot of history in working in the healthcare. So we thought that this would be a very good thing to do. So what we did is we have built a framework of multiple foundation models, VLMs and LLMs, and we tasked ourselves in performing well on PG NEET examination. And so PG NEET, for those who don't know, is the postgraduate medical examination of India. So we took about 20 years of PG NEET equivalent data sets, not data sets, question papers, and we thought that this is what we want to do. We want to score as high on PG NEET as possible. So we took a lot of public data. Examples are PubMed, medical literature, so on and so forth, as well as our own annotated data. So we have recruited annotation agencies which annotated data, including reasoning. So we are also looking at not just simple question answers, but the ability to reason over information. So we built this on almost 1 million sample set. We have foundation models which are 30 billion parameters, right up to 70. They are based on open systems, though we are more in the CPT zone. So we are doing some continuous pre-training to build these models. And what we have found is on the PG NEET, our models are exceeding all the models that we compared with. We compared it with GPT-4o, we compared it with Llama 3. Llama 3.1 we will compare right now, and Gemini Pro, right? And for PG NEET, we are getting an average accuracy across 20 years of postgraduate medical exam of 83%. OpenAI was at 77. The next slide just shows that this would be equivalent of a top 500 ranker in any given PG NEET examination, right? So this is a very significantly smart post MBBS student. So having said that, we added some conversational capabilities to this model, and we are giving this out as free access. So just last week or 10 days back, we launched Vaidya.ai. And what we will see now is RT will show you Vaidya.ai, which is a conversational access to a medical multimodal model. It is freely available. Anyone can check it out on Vaidya.ai. RT, you want to show this? I think we have around 4 minutes.
Thank you, Raj. So quickly, right, before I jump into the demo, in interest of time, I had logged in and I had pre-populated a conversation. But before we jump into the demo, right, the way Vaidya.ai is designed is basically for general purpose use, right? So it's for something that people can come to and basically address their queries related to medical field, right? It's not supposed to give any kind of recommendations, or it is not supposed to give any kind of diagnosis, and that's how it is designed. And it's more about understanding medical specific information.
And maybe I'll if.
Yeah, please, Ritesh, your time is on. Please continue.
Yeah, am I audible, and is my screen visible?
You're audible and clear.
Okay. And is my screen visible? I'm actually on the app.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's what we have done. So this is one example that I keep on bringing up when I am talking about Vaidya, right? And this is something that has happened to me. My grandfather, who is probably 86 years old, had a fall a couple of years back, right? And he's quite old. He broke his elbow, and he had a fractured hip as well, right? And there are series of things or series of questions that I had in my mind when the doctors were also diagnosing him, right? One of the things that came in was, at this age with a broken hip, right, it's actually surgery is the only solution. But at this age, it's kind of critical, right? And at the same point of time, the doctors also said that he has high glucose levels, so we cannot operate him at this point in time.
Ritesh, a prompt. You're close to 2 minutes. Please keep a watch on the time.
Yeah. So that's what that was what was going in my head. And I had a lot of questions, right? Is it okay to wait for the time? Is it okay to should I go look for another opinion? So what I did was I tried to recreate that entire thing with my with Vaidya, right? And I asked questions around okay, this is the surgery that is being recommended. Is it safe to have it? What is the post surgery treatment or care that I need to take, right? And what Vaidya was able to give me was something which was in in similar to what the doctors had also suggested, right? So it is not only giving you information about what diet, what sugar management, what wound care it needs to take, but it also mentions about emotional support and so on and so forth, right? So that's what it is designed for. I'll just quickly show one example. I'm just going to start a new interaction. I'm just going to use one of the pre-populated examples over here. Considering it is multimodal in nature, right? Let's say that I'll pick up this example. My son was playing, and he fell down and he has hurt his elbow, right? So if I upload an image and I start asking questions, right, what Vaidya does is that it analyzes the image and puts together its medical knowledge in order to start answering questions, right? So you can see right over here, I understand your concern. Based on the image, it appears that your son has sustained a minor injury. The redness and the right swelling are typical, and so on and so forth, right? It gives me sort of information about what can I do. Now, if I say that, do you think I need to visit a doctor for this? So it probably uses the above information and will try to give me, sort of knowledge about it, right? So it says that it's generally advisable to go, but in this case, since the injury appears to be minor, you can manage it at home, right? So it basically looks at the information, looks at the knowledge, and then gives the answer. Now, in interest of time, I cannot show a lot of things, but it is able to process, your medical path lab reports and things like that in order to give information about your blood work and so on and so forth. That's what I wanted to talk about. But Suraj, you want to add anything before the time runs out?
Suraj, please do check. You might be on mute.
Yeah. Nothing more to add is saying, but just that this is step one in a journey to democratizing healthcare information. We believe that this is a vast ocean, and this is just a step one. It evaluates a lot of medical images, it evaluates medical text, it does a lot of things already, but there is a long way to go to make it usable. We are also working with professional healthcare diagnostic companies. We are in touch with hospitals. So we also are evaluating partnerships where we will
Suraj, just a minute. Thanks for the presentation, but the timer for the Q&A is on. Can you please restart the timer?
Yeah, Suraj, is this fine-tuned Llama model, or you have trained it from the ground up?
No, these are not trained grounds up, though it is not one model, it is multiple models. So because Llama is a LLM, right? So this is also a VLM. So what we have done is, and there are also ResNets. So for some of the image modalities, we may not need VLMs or LLMs. We might even need a ResNet architecture, segmentation architecture. So this is an architecture of multiple models. Llama 3 is one model which helps in conversation. There are VLMs. So there are VLMs available already, right? Lava and the family, and there are others. So we have taken multiple foundation models, some fine-tuning, some CPT, which is continuous pre-training, and some even building grounds up, right? So for example, we also are partners with Cure, which is the X-ray. It's the largest AI company in healthcare, right? Evaluates lots of X-rays. So they build segmentation models. So we also have some segmentation models. So it's a family of foundation models.
Thank you.
So Suraj, how are you going to launch it in the market, this product?
Right. So right now, what we have is we have a beta release, which is open access. We have, and because it is open access, one thing I wanted to point out is that we have spent a lot of time in the conversational tuning, right? You might appreciate that this is a very important area, medical area. So a lot of the conversational tuning we have done is to ensure that this model, it's not just the knowledge, but about how it speaks, right? So whenever it speaks, it will always refer to healthcare professionals for final diagnosis. It will never diagnose. This is not meant to diagnose. It will always give information, but it will never give diagnosis. So a lot of our work in the last 2 months, to be honest, was on the guardrails and the conversational tuning to make sure that the conversation it does has a do no harm policy, right? It does not it does not pretend to be a doctor. And it always refers to real doctors. It's more like a prepare for a doctor's meeting rather than be a doctor. We have also done a lot of guardrails because medical information can be misused, right? So we also have done guardrails around that. So that is our beta, which is openly accessible. So anyone can go to Vaidya.ai and get healthcare information. We are also exploring some partnerships. I mentioned Cure.ai is the leading AI imaging company in the world. It's a fractal company. We are in talks with a leading diagnostics player in India, one of the top 2 diagnostic players in India, and some more, right? There we will look to have much more nuanced and deeper models for certain medical areas. So that is what we are doing. Our Vaidya.ai B2C is openly accessible for healthcare information, but we have specialized streams that we are exploring through partnerships.
Okay, makes sense.
Thank you, Suraj. Mr. Sunny, your question?
So how do you ensure your models are factually grounded? Of course, they will give some output, but how do you avoid hallucination? Is this something that you have come up with compared to, I could ask a GPT-4 and it will give me some answer. I could ask Vaidya, it will give me some answer. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
So this is a big issue, right? And one thing we did is the PG NEET exam, right? So even there, if you see, we are scoring 83% average on a PG NEET exam, which still means that 17% of the time we are wrong. That is higher than GPT-4 on those same PG NEET exams, right? Where it was 77% accurate. So it was 23% wrong. So what we have done is we have done an extensive test. We believe that the knowledge that it gives is usually accurate, as in those were the benchmarks we set for accuracy, but we have always and this is the conversational tuning, right? We have always tried to ensure that the articulation of this bot always says that this is what we think, please refer to a doctor. So our accuracy we are maintaining, we are measuring. There are some other ways. So for example, we are also measuring accuracies by areas. So for example, X-rays could be an area, or histopathology could be an area. And Vaidya right now is across all areas, right? So for across all areas, we thought the PG NEET is a good way to measure accuracy. But for sub areas, we have some accuracy statistics on our models too.
Yeah, I think like what you evaluate on NEET versus, what you showed the demo was more of a medical kind of a pre-diagnosis. Essentially, I'm not convinced that if a model does well on PG NEET, the conversation or in terms of diagnosis or prognosis, what it will give will be factually grounded. Of course, you can build different models for different things, maybe a different model for X-ray, maybe a different model for blood reports, but how do you baseline it? How do you benchmark it? Especially if you get into medical domain, the cost of wrong answer is much higher compared to, models just hallucinating for something that's more generic.
Yes. And for that reason, I want to make one correction is that we are not thinking of this as a pre-diagnostics. We are thinking of this more as a information sharing. The way we internally think is think of your best friend who knows medical domain as much as anyone, but he will not diagnose you or pre-diagnose you. He will give you information, but he will always say that please visit a doctor, right? That is where the buck
my
stops.
counter is that how is this any more valuable than someone doing a Google search and actually going through a website and checking it up compared to having an LLM give an answer.
So that the answer to that question would be the same between using say ChatGPT and a Google search, right? This is a one place where all the information is. It is conversational so that it can do follow-ups. It is multimodal. So again, multimodality also adds the image layer. So, but I do agree that it is more along the lines of searching for information in a very seamless way rather than claiming to do pre-diagnostics, because that would be a medical territory, right? And there again, the cost of error is high. So we are not claiming to be pre-diagnostics. We are more along the lines of ChatGPT for healthcare, where image is there, where there's specialized knowledge, reasoning. For example, we spent some time, some of the delta you saw on our accuracy was on reasoning too, right? Can systems reason? LLMs are famous for not reasoning well. So how can you do reasoning over multiple facts? We are doing it in some other non-medical areas, but these are the things we are bringing to make sure.
Yeah, demo that you showed didn't had anything to do with reasoning per se. And why don't you explore the path what Perplexity is taking, where whatever answers you give, you also give try to give a good citation in terms of make them at least try to ground them factually. There will be issues there as well. It's not an easy road ahead.
Yes. In fact, that is exactly. Thank you. That is on our pipeline. Putting links to whatever has been cited, right? That is already in our pipeline.
Thank you, Mr. Sunny. Professor Ahmed,
so a few things from my side. First of all, very well done. Very good presentation. The project is very ambitious. The focus is not, very clear, because it's a very big domain. The judges, highlighted different things. For example, if you just focus on something that help patients with cancer, that could be even a big thing, if you know what I mean. So one concern about the data, you mentioned there are some reports and health information. I'm not sure if this is something that you get from the authority, and they say the security and identity of the reports are very important. It's not clear if you are fine-tuning the model or you are contributing to retrieval augmented generation. So that's another thing that you didn't highlight. The focus, as I mentioned, it can be very specific. It's a very big domain. You cannot answer all the question. So for example, the photo that you showed, this is the hand of my son, what should I do? So it really needs reasoning, but you mentioned this is more providing information, but that example was reasoning. And the quality of the output is also very important. So you should have a feedback loop, reinforcement learning with human feedback to improve the quality, because especially in the health domain, we cannot trust, the output of such a systems. Another thing, for you to improvement, again, the focus could be on health literacy. It could be on improving, for example, one specific domain like cancer or diabetics. As I mentioned, it's a very big topic. If you just focus on solving everything, it could be challenging. If you are focusing on reasoning, modeling as a graph is very important. So unifying graphs and large language models is a big research topic as well.
Professor Ahmed, would you want them to answer, or is the feedback which you have given?
Mainly feedback for improvement, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. It's a feedback.
That's the time, yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Though there were some comments, just to know that we are completely encrypting everything. We stored nothing on data. So we understand it's PII data. Images are not stored. And it is not RAG, it is CPT, continuous pre-training, just because that was a comment, right? We are not doing a RAG, but we have H100s and A100s where we have actually done training of models, though it's not grounds up training, it is CPT.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj. Thank you.